Welcome back to the stream, folks. Wow. Tuco and I had kind of a long day, and I feel like we need a bit of a cat appreciation space right now. Oh, good. I'm glad we have some cat appreciation going. Yeah. Gosh, so Tuco had an appointment this morning at the vet, and he didn't really appreciate the trip there or back. And now I'm just kind of worried about him because of some things the vet noticed. I'm hoping they aren't too bad, but I don't actually know how serious any of it is yet. I mean, normal cat mom stuff, being worried about the cat. Anyway, he seems like he's been in a bad mood since getting back from the vet. I hope Tuco knows he's got some friends and supporters out there too. Like, we could also try to make some progress on this project. Tuco seems much more important, though. I should ditch these headphones if I'm actually trying to use the mic that close. Still itchy from earlier in the night. Tuco's really not used to going out into the city. He likes going out into the backyard sometimes on a little harness, but he was not happy with the trip to and from the vet. Oh gosh. Yeah, Tuco's really the closest family I've got at this point. I don't know what I'll do. You know, been trying to like prepare myself mentally for the idea that he's not going to be around forever, but I don't think I'll ever actually be prepared, you know. But yeah, I'm also just hoping it's nothing serious. Got my fingers crossed. It's nice to see him eating. He's always picky about food. Just for a slight change of topic, this project, the circuit board that's cluttering my desk right now, it would be cool if I got that to a point that despite the many disparate things I could be doing with it, that I could actually like declutter my desk and actually we could do some things with it, but we could also do some other things, The project's in a spot right now where it's kind of annoying to put away. And so it would actually be kind of nice to prioritize having a way to load whatever software we want on this machine without having to have it physically open like this. So there are actually a couple of problems that I'm having that dovetail with each other a little bit. One is that this compact flash card that I'm booting off of is apparently on its last legs. We're already starting to see bad sectors, and so I've had to decrease the size of the disk image to work around that. But that's really not a good sign. So I want to try to limit how much I'm having to rewrite these compact flash cards. There's some kind of unknown at this point limitations in the BIOS as far as which cards actually work. The 128 meg card and the SD card adapter I have fail pretty early on in the BIOS last I tested them. So one thing I could do is debug that and try to get a more modern storage device working for boot purposes. And then, I've been trying to basically get the system into a state where I can put most of what I'm doing on the network for flexibility, and so I have a lot of space that I can easily change files without having to wait around for them to copy to a slow storage device. So it would be nice to mostly be network booting this thing with possibly some use of this other PCMCIA device as a like an SD card adapter for like local bulk storage. It all kind of like points to a solution where I want the machine to be network booting. So if this was a more modern computer, it'd be like a PXE boot BIOS. But there are several reasons why I can't do that here. The BIOS itself has no network boot support. The network card has no like ROM BIOS support. The whole phenomenon of network booting over a PCMCIA card is kind of a strange object in computer history at this point. The solutions that I saw just researching this quickly before the stream seem to revolve around using a DOS packet driver for the card and then running a network boot system from there. That all seems really annoying. Like, a big part of the frustration in getting this system to boot is just that the hardware is all a little bit non-standard. And so if I have to get it working under Linux, I don't really also want to have to get it working under some other system that then is responsible for the network booting. I was entertaining the idea of getting Grub to support a network boot on this machine, but Grub doesn't actually seem to have any PCMCIA support. It looks like they only do network boot support through PXE. So I think that basically leaves me with the simplest route to having a network boot kind of setup to be basically what I'm doing and having a Linux kernel do the PCMCIA and then the network setup. The way I've been trying to do this is to have Grub and a Linux kernel and a minimal root file system on the compact flash card, and then have that do the network setup, the PCMCIA setup. The PCMCIA setup seems to require some user space support for assigning resources to the socket. That's a bit of an annoying requirement, and it seems like we could hack around it if we needed to, but I mean, some user space support is going to be necessary, for example, for setting up the network anyway, so I guess that's not entirely true, because I don't remember exactly how this works, but I think there are ways to get the kernel to configure DHCP and without user space, but user space is like really the more flexible way of doing it, and so often you'll use something like an initrd for that. I've been using not an initrd per se, but just the root file system. I'm not really sure if there'd be an advantage to moving to a real initrd in this case. Oh, I'm so glad Tuco's eating this. I might prepare him some more. Tuco, you want some more of that? You're not gonna wait for it. I don't blame you. Yeah, Pixie Boot is nice when it works. I've got some memories of booting an old, I think it was an NE 2000 compatible card off of an actual like physical EEPROM that I burned and stuck in the socket. Those were the days or something. There's another question, why not use a laptop IDE hard drive instead? That would be great. I just don't have all the parts necessary to hook that up, and I haven't really felt like buying them. That also, I mean, that doesn't solve really any of the problems, I think. I mean, I can always just buy more devices. Like, I could buy more compact flash cards. So far, I've just been using the compact flash cards I already had. The main issues are that large compact flash cards don't work because of the BIOS, as far as I know. And any compact flash card requires some careful attention to the way it handles CHS style disk geometry. So like if I tried to throw like some random, I don't know, 40 gig 2.5-inch drive in this thing, the BIOS would have no idea what to do with it. It probably would just refuse to boot off of it in a similar manner to how it's been refusing to boot off of the 4 gigabyte SD card in an adapter that I've been giving it. I could probably do something where the BIOS boots off of Grub installed onto a CF card, and then the secondary IDE device on that same bus could be like a laptop hard drive with other things on it. So that would probably work. That would only have the problem where it's hardware that I don't actually have. Oh, too cool. I mean, the other problem, though, besides just the amount of space and the BIOS being picky, is that I would like a way to continue this kind of reverse engineering slash software fussing effort without having all the hardware splayed across my desk necessarily. So it would be cool if I could actually have the system mostly reassembled and then still put new software on it. And right now there's a problem where I have to kind of remove the entire bottom of the machine to get to the CF card slot. So that's the other difference here, is that the two PCMCIA card slots are easy to access while the machine is completely assembled, whereas the CF card slot, you have to remove the bottom of the machine to access. So it seems almost ideal to have Grub installed on the CF card and then everything else on PCMCIA, except Grub doesn't actually support PCMCIA. It doesn't seem like it would be that hard to manually set that up. I wonder... This is a terrible idea, but I'm almost wondering if you could like use Grub's low-level I/O port out commands to do the PCMCIA parts of the setup, and then just use Grub's regular IDE disk driver to talk to the card after that. That's slightly cursed, but it might actually work. Tuco. I need to recalibrate that green screen for this lighting, but the artifacts are terrible. Too good. You want this? Whoa. Too good. You want any of this? Oh, I don't think Tuco could see that bird, right? Oh, Tuco. Yeah, I don't want to write software. I just want to be nice to cats. Oh, you're gonna eat that? Please do. Yes, I agree. From chat, cats don't need software. Why should we? Yeah, no, I think cats are much smarter than humans. They don't actually network computers with other computers. It's much smarter to avoid that sort of thing. Cats like hardware, but only for bite. Yes. Oh man, I was carrying Tuco to the vet this morning and there were two loud fire engines. And it was the sort of thing where if I wasn't carrying Tuco, I would have plugged my ears. But like I was carrying Tuco, so my hands were full, and also I wouldn't have wanted to plug my ears, but not be able to cover Tuco's ears. So it was just loud, and we both hated it. Oh yeah, cat software equals cushion. Yeah, I like that assessment. That's a good analysis of the situation. I feel like I just keep moving the food to different locations and trying different foods at different temperatures and different levels of moisture to try to figure out what my cat wants. For a while, it seems like he really liked this meat stuff, and he seemed to prefer it dry. But now he seems to be eating it wet, which is good. Can we zoom in and appreciate Tuco a little closer? Oh man. There's a comment from chat that their kitten wouldn't eat, and they tried like 10 different foods all warmed up, and the smell was unholy. Yeah, man, why do cats like things that smell so bad? Tuco's foods are always the grossest things I have in the house. Tuco just seems to like gross things in general. I don't know. Tuco keeps trying to steal the isopod food when I feed the isopods. I don't think it's actually nutritious for cats though. Like cats need meat, and the isopod food is mostly like rice bran, I think. Oh yeah, there's a question about Tuco's digestive health. Yeah, I've been keeping an eye on that. It's varied. It was doing pretty well for a while, and I'm not quite sure about it now. And that was one of the things the vet wanted a sample of, so I've got to prepare that in the next couple of days. Oh yeah, he's super soft and his coat is super healthy. Yeah, no, for the most part, he's a really healthy cat. There's like a longer term problem that I've been keeping my eye on where he's got like a mild heart murmur. So I need to get that checked up on. And the new thing the vet noticed today was something in his mouth that might be some kind of infection or tumor or something, but I don't know anything about it. We need to get some tests run. And so I'm just in kind of anxiety mode about that. And so that's quite possibly related to his food pickiness. Oh no, there's a comment from Chad about housemates and frying mackerel in the kitchen. Yeah, that doesn't seem like a good combination. Yeah, it's weird. He didn't seem to like the wet version of this food before, but then when he was eating the dry food, he would kind of break it into small pieces and then leave it all over the place. And it kind of seemed like he was trying to moisten it without, I don't know, without it being too moist. I'm trying to understand what he wants. Yeah, I'm just gonna be cheering on Tuco anytime he eats and anytime he poops at this point. There's one approach for this problem of how do I make the memory card, or, how do I make the software on the machine easier to change, despite the fact that the memory card is hard to access, and that is to just cut a door in the bottom of the machine. There's actually already a door that the legs are stored under. I could just cut a hole under that door, and there's this compartment where usually there's storage for the legs, and then I think on the opposite side of that compartment there's some empty space, and there's some space that would usually be lead acid batteries, but there's probably a way to just cut open a window there such that I could just reach in and grab the compact flash card while the machine's assembled. And then I could put the machine back together and we could still fuss with the software if we wanted to without it being in all these pieces on my desk. So good to see Tuco eating. I like the idea of walking to the vet with Tuco, but Tuco would not have been into that. He and I have gone on some short walks together with a harness, but like in the grass and stuff, like in secluded areas, not around a bunch of traffic and city streets. I was walking through city streets to get to the vet and carrying him in a soft carrier, and he was just cowering in the corner, and it looked like it was a really hard time for him. The vet was trying to be really relaxing, though. The vet had some kind of like relaxing fragrance that she put on Tuco. That was an interesting experience. Tuco smelled kind of strange for a while after the vet appointment. Yeah, I was wondering that. There's a question about whether that might have been some kind of pheromone spray in addition to just the fragrance. And yeah, I was thinking it might have been. It seemed like they had like diffusers for it all around the office, and I was trying to see if there was any like writing on it that would have indicated what was in there. Didn't get a good enough look though. Yeah, no, it's nice seeing him eating. His guts are a little sensitive, although I think that they're mostly performing fine at this point. I'm more worried about his mouth right now, but I'm hoping he just chomped on something he shouldn't have. Like, he loves to chew on 3D prints and cables and whatever. I wouldn't be surprised if he hurt himself somehow doing that. But we gotta get some tests done. From chat, there's a report of an experience trying to use the pheromone diffuser to calm a pair of cats who were not getting along well during cat sitting. Yeah, I've heard that those don't always work. Maybe it's like catnip, where it works pretty well for some cats, and some cats are just totally immune to it. Zuko, do you want more of that? You can have as much of that as you want. I should try to soften some more of this for him. Too. Guess we're doing this now. Yeah, man, conflicts between cats can get pretty bad. I would certainly like it if Tuco would get along with other cats, but so far signs point to him not much liking other cats. Like he was curious and kind of tried to get along with some of the cats at the old place we lived at, but he didn't really get super close with any of them. There was one cat kind of down the hall that he was maybe on the verge of being friends with. Yeah, here I tried to see if he might be into hanging out with one of the neighbor cats, but they did not get along. That lasted about 3.5 seconds. And then there was that time years ago when I was cat sitting those 2 cats for a while. And it wasn't that bad for the most part, but it was kind of constant low-level tension, and there was one fight that almost got bad. I had to get in between Tuco and another cat, and I got some pretty deep scratches trying to keep Tuco and this other cat from fighting. Gosh, Tuco was not happy with the trip back from the vet. He was just burying his face in the corner of the cat carrier. He seems to be feeling a bit better now. Yeah, if I'm putting this machine back together, I would like to either have kind of a reliable bootloader that I can use without having to modify that. I think that means a different approach from what I've got here, because the thing that I've been trying to do is effectively just have one Linux kernel that I start up kind of early on. Then I change out the user space from the kind of startup focused user space to the one that's actually on the network. But I mean, I've had to modify the kernel configuration several times already, just trying to get this going. So I could use Linux as a bootloader for Linux, like I could do grub and then a very small kernel that just has what I need to load PCMCIA and bootstrap another system, and then use kexec, is that still a thing? To boot into another system? Or I could cut a hole in the bottom of the machine. Cutting a hole in the bottom of the machine is not sounding that bad, huh? The other thing that I could do that would be a bit cleaner is to actually have some kind of hardware emulation of the CF card that I can modify wirelessly. So for example, I could stick a Raspberry Pi inside the enclosure somewhere, and wire it up to whatever peripherals I wanted. You know, maybe I give it access indirectly somehow to the ISA bus, maybe through an FPGA. Maybe I give it some kind of access to a shared storage that a CF card emulator also accesses. You know, this could just turn into some kind of FPGA project. I hear people like those. I'd like to have a more conclusive idea of where we are with the touchscreen. I did the repair on the cable. I did some work on getting the Linux drivers set up. I still don't actually have that working though. And I can just attach a terminal emulator to the serial port and it sometimes gives me results, but I can't tell if the configuration of the touchscreen controller microcontroller is being unreliable at this point, or if it's actually just the cable being unreliable. How's the cat stream? It's pretty hard to get excited about any technology when Tuco's right here. I think historically when I've asked what sorts of things people are interested in seeing, you know, in terms of collecting feedback for, you know, prioritizing different directions the streams and the videos could go in, there seem to be sort of two broad categories of responses. There are the people who have like they don't really seem to have a specific feedback, like sort of anything goes, whatever you're interested in streaming, you should stream, that sort of response. And then there's another sort of broad category of responses where people are interested in one thing, like, oh, I want to see more Tuco Flyer, or I want to see more Coaster Melt, or I want to see you reverse engineer some, I don't know, video game or office application, or you know, thing that they probably want to pirate. I don't know. There's these two categories, and in my head, I can almost picture them as the sort of battle-hardened engineer and the sort of optimistic engineer. I don't know how accurate that actually is, though. Ah, cats are so nice. It's nice hearing about people's cats. Tuco's my first cat. He's really my first pet that I can like relate to as a fellow mammal. I've had some fish as pets when I was a kid. I have these pet isopods now, but Tuco's definitely my most relatable pet. Tuco, you want more of this food if I mash it up for you? I don't know what he wants right now. I feel like I didn't have any good electronic-y content to stream today, but you know, Tuco's a good enough reason to stream, right? Also trying to hit that daily schedule for whatever that's worth. Still don't know how I feel about streaming every day. It seems like having some kind of schedule is useful. Well, maybe I'll just wrap up the stream around about here. Make this kind of a brief cat hangout. And I'll come back tomorrow with some maybe slightly more electronics related content. I was hoping we could do some bootloader grub thing, but yeah, I don't really actually have a good actual plan for that today. Well, thanks for hanging out, folks. If you've got a cat in your life, give them a hug. And I'll see you tomorrow.